All right. Of course, those were fresh insights regarding the lingering controversy between Nigeria and Niger. Of course, the Nigerian army has reiterated that none of the concerns raised by the Nigerian government hold any water. And as you have heard the analyst there, the security analyst there speak, what everyone should be paramount about within the region and beyond is peace. And so that is how we leave it there. But of course, the conversation continues here in Lagos on other matters. Still ahead on TVC Breakfast, we bring you fresh insights now on some of the major trends that shaped the outgoing year 2024. Stay with us.
More nutritious meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. Knorr Cubes, that's the secret. Made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic, and enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious too. That's the cocoa. Let's give it some accolades. Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move weigh in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Thanks a lot for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Well, the year 2024 has indeed been a pivotal year for Nigeria, marked by significant advancement in climate action, economic reforms, as well as efforts to address insecurity. These are some of the issues that made and dominated the news industry this year. President Bola Tinubu reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to achieving net zero emissions by the year 2060, as well as promoting the use of compressed natural gas as a cleaner alternative for petrol. And in the realm of climate action, Nigeria made notable strides, including the reopening of the Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company, as well as government initiatives in promoting CNG use. These efforts demonstrate Nigeria's dedication to reducing its carbon footprint and transitioning to cleaner energy sources. Nigeria also implemented various economic reforms aimed at improving the country's economy. These reforms, though, were met with mixed reactions, though Nigeria navigated the complex economic landscape. Despite facing numerous challenges, Nigeria also made attempts to tackle insecurity, with the government launching operations targeted at combating terrorism and banditry, and the military recording successes in rescuing hostages and neutralizing threats. Let's analyze some of these major happenings in the year as I bring on board columnist and TV host Sam Omashe. He's with us in the studio, compliment of the season.
Same to you.
And Jide Ologo, lawyer and public affairs analyst. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you.
On the program once again. And you both, as well as our other, analysts, have also had your days in the studio here to talk about, some of these issues that we will try to bring up again as we analyze where we are and what needs to be done in the new year. So, Sam Omashe, so in terms of insecurity, during the twilight of the year, we also saw the evolution, so to speak, of the Lakura Wars. the sect. Analysts say we've always had them with us, but now suddenly it appears it's getting too big to handle. What was supposed to be an option to enhance security for the locals, it has now come back to haunt them.
Well, we must say that we have to look at the Lukarawa, whatever it's called, from the context of the larger fight against banditry and hoodlums in the north, especially. The Lukarawa group has not really done anything that we have really, pointed our fingers at. But it is the fear that is there. And I stumbled on a video which is not well seen yet, but which I saw privately, of them trying to recruit small boys, probably boys who are not even teenage yet holding guns and all of that. But the point is that security to them, the National Security Service is onto them, and we'll see how it pans out. But that should not blind us to a lot that has been done on insecurity in the year. Over 300 kingpins were killed in the course of 2024. And some of the real hot spots of violence have now quieted. In Kogi, in Nasarawa, in the areas of FCT, and even in Niger State, in Zamfara. In Zamfara, recently, one of the reasons they opened the mine is that one of the people, the mines in Zamfara, was because Sububu, one of the kingpins, was neutralized. And so those people causing problems around the states are now jittery. But for me, symbolically, and in fact, the most essential of all of the hotspots that was handled was bringing Gwari. Remember in 2022 December, the president, then candidate Bola Tinubu, had to move to bringing Gwari with all his, including the now governor of Kaduna State, Ubasani, and all the APC apparatchik, just to underscore the importance of bringing Gwari for peace in the north. And today, bringing Gwari, and there's one market around it, and then Goa local government have been opened. These markets, the livestock market and the markets, have not been opened for about 10 years. Bringing Gwari has been dead for about 10 years to peace. Now they are trying to build, resuscitate schools and all of that, because that place was no-go area for peace. So we must understand that this NSA, National Security Advisor, and his men have done very well, the service chiefs, they have done very well in making sure that the security has been, insecurity has been tamped down to a large extent. It is still there. So we don't see this kind of wholesale mania of picking up people who are vulnerable, like children and women and all of that. We've seen that has really gone down. And we must say that this is the first time in about a decade that we have seen security handled with this kind of earnestness and strategic focus. So we'll see how it goes in the next year. But we are going into the new year with a lot more hope about peace around us than we had prior.
Right, and Mr. Logo, so because when you speak to security agencies, one of the takeaways from them, one of the concerns from them is the issue of trust. They always reiterate that these criminal elements live among us as a people. That's what we are seeing in the Northeast and, every other part of the country that has had its own share of, insecurity. In terms of how much improved, how improved the situation is, if you would rate it as we exit the year? What would it be like for you?
You know, I adopt the brilliant submissions of Mr. Sam on this issue. And I quite agree that the government has done so much in trying to restore security to the land. And I've been a loud advocate of the primary purpose of government, as we have it in Section 14, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, that says that the security and the welfare of the citizens shall be the primary purpose of government. And the hunger that is so much cried about in the land is tied to insecurity. You've heard in the past of farmers being killed, some territories being taken over by these bandits. And I appreciate what the government has done in really reeling down on them to clear them. But the battle is not over. So I just want to address the northern elite. Particularly now we have a strategic reform that is in the National Assembly talking about the tax reform that may change the economic landscape, and the Northerners are beginning to see it, that is moving the nation towards productivity, that you need to also be seriously interested in restoring security to the northern part of the country. I use the case of the Southwest. When some personalities came up and started agitating for the Yoruba nation, you saw what the Southwestern leadership did. They were wrestled into oblivion that no, we are not going to give you space to carry out this agenda. And I expect that. So it's now time for the northern governors, the emirs, and the stakeholders to sit back and count the losses and the benefits of insecurity. And I believe the losses outweigh the benefits. The benefits may be romancing the ego of some ethnocentric and religious bigots who really may not understand the concept of religion and belonging to a particular ethnicity, and some who have taken it as a political tool. It has messed up your economy. You do a profiling of the poorest states in the country, you'll be amazed at the result you get. And that's why I was also interested in the governor of Borno State, Zulum, saying that the tax reform will further impoverish the people. So there is an admission there is a poverty in that region. And how will this affect the whole nation? When we have a secured environment, you attract foreign investment, that we call FDI, foreign direct investments into the country, and we start moving out of the lane of poverty to the lane of prosperity. So I want to ask that the effort be sustained, and to also point to some of the casualties. Recently in South Koto State, about 10 civilians were killed, which speaks to the issue you raise, that some of these criminals live amongst the civilians, and that is the truth. And that is why I'm saying the communities also should wake up and understand the role of the government institution in providing security. Because one of the sellers of these bandits is to claim that the state can no longer protect you, so we can protect you. And they now hand over their security to the devil, who is mandated to kill, to steal, and to destroy. So I want to encourage the government to do more, and that will go a long way, because if you get it right at the primary level of securing the lives and properties of the citizens, you'll be able to provide the welfare. And what else is government about if not this capsule that will spread out to the other benefits to the citizens, that will make all of us be able to embrace the concept of democracy, which is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So I say kudos to the government in the area of fighting insecurity. Right. And I also underscore dealing with the kingpins. And I've mentioned it over the years. It's disturbing to me when some criminal elements make the nation appear like as if we are a lame nation that cannot handle the security of the land. So I give my support to the government efforts.
Right. And okay, so this is the Tinubu administration's first full year following its inauguration mid last year. But this year would also go down in history as that year where we saw the mass adoption of the state policing option, or the state policing system, so to speak, after we had some states that were foot dragging on the issue. But the year is ending with a mass adoption of state police. Where do you see this headed in terms of the body language, beyond them signing? Some would say maybe it's not exactly surprising that states would adopt or states would welcome the idea. But where do you see this going in terms of further improving security in their domains?
It is a gem of an idea, but the question is whether the idea will germinate. That's the issue. It's been long in coming. It was the baby of the present governor of Kaduna State, Ubasani, when he was senator, and he was very happy that the matter has now moved forward. There are some ideas that you cannot really backtrack because they have a momentum and they ride on the wing of the time. And when time says this is it, there's nothing you can do about it. State police is something like that. It has some ruffles around the edges, especially some states who are very leery about how it might pan out in their various states, and whether powers that they want will not become Frankenstein monsters. But for most part, I think that the idea of state police will germinate, but it's going to germinate gradually because it's a fraught idea. If you look at it, it's also fraught unless we as people are ready to carry it out. Because it's going to be a case in which how much of the state will the federal government concede? How much of state powers will the federal government concede? And what is the fear that some states may indulge themselves in overreach in trying to exercise their powers? Because as we stand, the state governors are called chief security officers, but they are still subject to the whims and caprices of the center.
Indeed.
And so they are state police, they are chief security officers in theory and by imagination. Well, what I mean is, for instance, in Kaduna State, the state governor, in tackling Brennan Gwari, had to bring in the center to work with it in trying to make it. So he used his imagination to amass and deploy their powers in the center for his own benefit in the state. Now, it's going to be the reverse. When you have state police, you will want to now exercise your own muscle. How far can you go knowing that the commander-in-chief of the federation is not the state governor, is still the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who has preeminent powers, no matter how well you struff, how far you huff, that you can be brought down by the commander-in-chief. So there are those tensions that have to still be navigated. Those tensions can never go away. So it's what we are going to live with. So when the state governor wants to overreach himself, the federal government can still come in and say, "Yeah, wait a minute, I'm the boss here." So that's why state police is good, because it's going to create beautiful dialectical tension between the center and the periphery.
And Mr. Ologun, any hope? What are the projections that the Constitution can clarify the matter, or the Constitution can help? Because Mr. Mashaye here is saying, okay, it doesn't appear that all the concerns will just go like that, even when the states eventually adopt the state police option. But how far can we go with the present constitutional setup?
Absolutely. What the Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says is that the National Assembly has the power to make laws for the peace, orderliness, and good government in Nigeria. And right now, talking about state policing, all the 36 governors are on the same page on this adventure. It's been long discussed. And what will it bring to us? It will bring security closer to the people. Right now, all the commissioners of police in all the states are only answerable by command to the Inspector General of Police. You see, so you can only find some states that are very good in public relations and managing relationships, like Lagos State, for instance. Some people may even be assuming that RRS is a Lagos State police setting. No, it's a federal government police structure supported immensely by Lagos State to secure Lagos State. You see? And even Lagos State has put a template on the table for state policing. Look at the neighborhood watch, you look at the last mile, there's some, some countries are even coming covertly to understudy, just like the rapid bus transit system that Lagos introduced. So whether we like it or not, the society is dynamic. We are going there. Those who are afraid are seeing the rapid approach of real restructuring of Nigeria back to regional government. And that's why they are afraid. So when you look at, let's assume now that the tax reform bills is signed into law eventually after all the consultations. Let's assume that state policing as now, comes on stream. We already have the decision of the Supreme Court granting autonomy to the local government authorities. Then you can see that gradually the centralization of power is being dealt with. And the governor in the state can decide whether he wants his state to be 99% safe for business and people or 25% safe. It's your choice. You see, and that's why it's good to, take us back to what I mentioned earlier. Security and the welfare of the citizens. I was doing a study on this value-added tax issue that has been prompted by the tax reform bills. You talk about Lagos State or your state, Rivers State, some states that are doing very well, Kano. It's because of business activities going on, relatively. So, and that is, we want states to be competitive in the country. We're discussing this issue of agroeconomy yesterday. Borno State is doing well. Niger State is not even attracting FDI. Lagos State is and Osun State and some states. Why can't all the states take advantage of the enormous resources in this country? And so I see the state policing issue coming up, particularly when the governors are in support. And like I said, please, it is the business of the National Assembly to make law. So it's not whether somebody is not happy about it somewhere. And Mr. Sam mentioned a critical issue I have really amplified over the years. If you look at Section 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it gives the president the executive power to manage the country. You see, and that is why you can see some of the positive vibes we are feeling in the country now. The Port Harcourt refinery coming on stream, the worry is joining now. So it's all about where the president wants to move us, whether some are happy or not, and it's all about being strategic. Whoever thought, the issue of the local government autonomy has been discussed, pulled back and forth, but the Supreme Court has pronounced, and since 1963, Supreme Court has become the highest court in the land. So even if you are not happy with the decision of the Supreme Court, then you need to find a suitable alternative. You see, so these are issues. We need to reform this whole nation, to be productive, to deliver to the citizens, to give people the sense of belongings and attract investments rather than investors getting out of the country. It's not going to be an easy one, and again, as a chief superintendent of police, we also need to look at the police stakeholder aspect of it. So what happens to the national ranking and all those things? So these are issues that those behind this move should consider. And when you engage effectively the stakeholders, you can deliver on it. Right. So it's a good thing to secure the environment.
Right. So let's come now to the economy. Amidst government's insistence that things are looking up, Warri refinery has reopened, though not exactly at optimum capacity, but above average, NNPCL says. And but then there's still the crop of critics who say that where we are, the challenges we are facing is as a result of the government not thinking through its reforms before bringing them, that perhaps there should have been some systems, the system needed to have been strengthened before you now come up with the forex deregulation, before you come up with the removal of subsidy. But how do you see it?
I think that on the economy, this matter has been flagellated, has been flogged and flogged and flogged. Jesus said, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. They have told them many times. They said subsidy should not have been removed. Don't collapse it. He was the first to make the idea public during the campaign that, oh, I'm going to remove fuel subsidy. He said it was the first to say it during the campaign of all the four major candidates. It was once I said I will collapse it too. Then the other was two. They also lined up like sheep because they knew that that was the idea. And they also said, I will remove it. Obi said, I will remove it. Atiku said, I will remove it. When the time came for them to remove it, then the hardship came. They said, oh, no. It's just like the children of Israel, as I've always said. When they were under the tutelage of Pharaoh, they said, oh, this oppression is too much. Let us leave this place. Let us go to a new land. They take you to a new land, and you say, oh, at least when they were beating us in the back, at least they're still giving us food to eat. They're giving us food. Now you're giving us manna. What kind of manna is this? We give you manna in the morning, manna in the afternoon, manna. It was discovered later that manna was even more nutritious than the food they were eating there. So that is the nature of humanity. Now, okay, they said that you want to put structure in place. What structure do you want to put in place? They know what the economy was. Some people are still arguing that the economy was good. When the revenue was 97% we were using to manage debt, and only 3% to do real business. So what did you do? It was borrowing and printing money up to 30 trillion. How do you continue with that? So that's why when I went to Cambridge, I said, look, it was the idea, they said that, oh, it's IMF. It is not IMF. It's just a coincidence of policy that what we have to do is the kind of thing that IMF will ask you to do, which is that when you have gotten to the wall, you have to move forward. How do you move forward? You have to move forward. Just don't stay where you are, or else you will fall over to the other side. And when you fall over to the other side, there is a swamp there full of crocodiles. So do you want to fall down to the crocodile, or you want to move forward? You have to move forward, and whatever you face, deal with it. The headwind is coming. We are facing the headwind. That is it. That's why we have cost of living, of course. We have the whole issue of fuel hike. Yes, it is because, as the president said, we have been living a lie. Some people said, oh, do it gradually. That's not what we have been doing. We did it gradually during the time of Jonathan, and we came back to it because if you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you do it a little, they will hijack it and take you back and roll you back. That's what we had. That's what we had. And if we're supposed to do this thing in the past, we had a lot. When what do you call it? When fuel was oil was 100 and above, that was the time that we could have used it. We could have used our resources to remove the fuel subsidy and still maintained a stronger economy. But we have reached a stage where we have been forced to do it. It is nobody's pleasure that we are doing it. So people should just, and many of people who say these things, they've not read economics since they left secondary school. Many of them who are talking, they've not read economics since they left secondary school. They don't know the theories that are going on. They don't know that even economy is not only about economics, but it's also about society and all of that. So what the government is doing is what it has to do, and that is what it's doing. You see, there's so much what they call bad belly from where I come from. You know, they call it jiga belly. You know, from where I come from. You know, what happened when the refineries were supposed to come on, they said, no, refineries can never, they don't want to do this, they can't do it. So that even when the refineries came, they denied it. Even some columnists started celebrating that this refinery was not good. So there are some people who have so much jigabele against the president that even if the president rescues them from there, they will slap them. What they call the fear of gratitude. That's what the philosopher said. He said they call it the fear of gratitude. Right. You don't want an opportunity to be grateful for what has been done to you. It's a very difficult psychology, which
perhaps due to fear, past experiences. Could that be what is making people afraid?
It could be past experiences, but then it's explained to you over and over and over again, and you are seeing evidence of what is going on. That the economy has been showing indices. All indices. Look, we have $42 billion in the bag, and we have reduced the revenue. To what they call it, the revenue thing from 97 to about 68. Well, we know that what is left now is to translate this to the pocketbook, to the
indeed, to be real, to the people on the streets. People. Absolutely.
But when a patient is sick, when the doctor says, "Oh, you are getting better," right. It is because he has seen the sign. But you may still be having fever, but he knows that what you're having is just a matter of time. That's what we hope that will happen.
All right. Okay, so, but how do you see it, especially this year that also saw, the introduction of Dangote Refinery? That was also a long time, in coming. And, of course, the ending of the era of fuel importation. And now, as the president has said, it's a better way to end the year with the reopening of Warri Refinery. How are things looking from your end as we enter the new year?
You see, I consulted a mentor on an issue, and he made a statement that has guided me for long, that a weak decision is better than indecision. So that subsidy is gone. Many did not understand it. But if you look at it from the angle that it was posited, that many people were cleaning up. In fact, I heard a story that at a point, one of the cleaners of the subsidy had to go to the president that, hey, we are tired of making money. Inflated consumption. So that went. And I think bringing the public relations angle, what happened was that when the subsidy was removed, at the same time, the Forex intervention came in. So those two policies really created tough hardship. And even if the citizens were willing to cope with the hardship, they did not see the sacrifice on the side of leadership. I mean, these are real issues. And that became an issue also, that, hey, if you are telling us to tighten our belt, and we know that more revenue has come in now because of removal of subsidy, this money is now being, the allocation to states are being increased. Let's feel the impact. Like Mr. Sam said, how do we concretize it to the people? And I think that is where I want to address my president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And I believe also that prompted him to reshuffle his cabinet. The people are out there. You know, we are not asking that the president should come to a Podo market, but there are some people who can give the feedback. You see that, what is going on. So how do we deal with that? And one of the benefits is that that hardship has created a new phase for us in the country. Dangote pulled through all the odds. In fact, a particular episode in 2024 that I really admire was Dangote coming out to accuse some of the stakeholders that you people have blending plants near Malta, where you get fake product from Russia or somewhere, blend it to substance that is best used for furnaces, and you bring it for Nigerians to buy and fuel their vehicles. So he wrestled them, and I say kudos to Dangote. And you saw the negotiation that went on between NNPC and Dangote and everything, and eventually Port Harcourt refinery came on, now it's Warri. And towards this season, you saw the price coming down from about 1,035 in Lagos, for instance, to around 935 now. So we hope that this will continue. Competition. And Nigeria, if we revive our refineries, then we can now begin to export and really control that sector. And it's a good thing that this sector is directly a portfolio under the president himself, you know, as the substantive minister of petroleum. So I want us to, it's just now for the president to look at his promises, and I believe he had good intentions, and look at those who are helping him drive these policies, review their performances, and be able to be proud when he comes to the boardroom of democracy on returns on investment. Because how will Nigerians agree that the indices are favorable when it scales down the cost of living? And you know that the cost of living directly affects the standard of living. So these are issues. And I believe that from what I'm beginning to see, we should be moving in the positive direction. But it's for my president to, as the executive, chief executive, to ensure that.
The thing is that people believe or expect that when you want to do a thing that you have to do it overnight. It's just like power. That we have been holding on to infrastructure of over 100 years old. We have not renewed. We have not prepared. You know, Nigeria is like an abused woman. Sorry, it's like an abused and abandoned woman. And when the woman gets to a place for rehabilitation and so on, you have a lot of work to do. You work not only on making sure that she looks beautiful again, you also have to work on her mindset and so on. And even in trying to do that, she can even bite you because her mindset is terrible. Where she's coming from. So the story of Nigeria is like that. And in various aspects, and if somebody comes and says, I want to deal with it, it's going to create a lot of backlash. Look at what Wike is doing with lands. This elite. And I don't see columnists actually attacking all those people. They're attacking Wike instead of talking about all those people who are supposed to pay, who have taken advantage of our land. We're in a situation where journalism itself has become hostage to a lot of false and misleading tendencies.
All right. Okay, I'm afraid we've run out of time, but perhaps... But maybe we'll bring you, well, let's look forward to 2025 when we will have you come on board again. I wanted to actually spend some seconds, though, but we've run out of time, Mr. Ologun. We'll come back to talk about projections for the new year. Looking at the big days in court, the courts were busy this year. Yeah. Defamation, so many things. The new CJN, her plate is full. So many things to look forward to.
And then the fact that this local government thing is one of the biggest cause for democracy for generation.
But in implementing
because eventually the governors will be beaten when one of the local government chairmen are asked, account for this money.
All right. we just must have a return date, for these conversations. Indeed, the story of Nigeria